It is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by Mountain Dew. Looking for a refreshing citrusy kick this summer? Go grab yourself a Mountain Dew. That is not my man, Trevor Plouffe. That is my dude, Jolly Olive. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, and intern Sawyer along for the ride as well. Good to have you back, my friend. Are you ready for these last 6 days?
As ready as any Mets fan will ever be.
Yeah, we'll get to them shortly. But I want to start out with kind of a sad but cool story for my tip of the cap. I have a friend named Stan Silver, whose father was also named Stan, and he passed away at age 90 a couple of weeks ago. An enormous, enormous baseball fan. In fact, I went over to his house a couple of times and was just there most recently to celebrate his memory. And on his wall is probably the most impressive personal collection of baseballs I've ever seen.
Wow.
Over 1,200 baseballs encased. And if you look at some of the names that are on these things, it's almost like going to Cooperstown out west. Babe Ruth, several Babe Ruth autograph balls. There's a Ty Cobb one. There's Lou Gehrig. There's Rogers Hornsby. There's Honus Wagner. Bob Gibson, Johnny Vandermeer, the only man to ever throw back-to-back no-hitters.
Right.
Now, this one's a little blurry, but on the bottom center one, Joe Jackson. And apparently he rarely signed baseballs, but there is one back in the day. And he has donated, in his memory, this collection. And I believe that it will be out at the New York Sports Hall of Fame. I'll try and get some details once they land out there. I actually met the curator who was going to drive a specially conditioned U-Haul to get these across from LA to upstate New York. But I just thought it was an incredible story. He loved chatting about baseball and getting opinions and stuff like that. So I wanted to share that with everybody today.
That's a great way to start the show. Rosie, I hope you don't mind me asking, do you have like a favorite piece of memorabilia in your collection?
Yeah, I mean, I've shown you the Willie Mays jersey that I've got back here. You can see it.
Yeah, I can
Kind of right over my shoulder. That is a signed one. For some reason, I took it out of the case, and I've had it up there for a while. But once the season's over, I'm going to encase that bad boy. The best one of sports memorabilia, period, is my hockey stick from the 1980 Olympic hockey team.
That's pretty cool.
That one in Lake Placid. It's signed. It's pretty damn impressive. I love that. I took that from the Best Damn Set. They said we could have a couple of things to go, and I was like, I want that hockey stick.
Good pick.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. All right, so Stan Silver, wherever you're watching from, this show's for you, even though we won't be talking much about your beloved Dodgers today. In fact, we're going to be talking about a team 120 miles south or so because they're off and running to the postseason again.
From eight lines it into left center. It's a walk-off. Johnson's coming from third. And with that, for the fourth time in the last 6 seasons, the San Diego Padres are headed back to the postseason in 2025. The party is on in San Diego.
I came here for a reason, was to win and pick up a team and ride, and this is what I do. I've done it my entire career, continue doing it, and I got faith in my boys. I know that I can ride for a team for a little bit, and I know my boys are going to come up there and pick me up when I'm down as well, and they did that this whole month. And they picked me up, and look where we're at, man. We fought, we've grinded, we've gone through the gauntlet as a team, and man, it just feels so good.
Yeah, it has not been an easy ride for Manny Machado and the rest of the Padres this year. Last year, the Dodgers, many of them told us countless times after winning the World Series that the Padres were the toughest out. They were on the brink against them. Do you think that the Padres can go on some sort of run this year with their current version?
Yeah, I think it would be naive to doubt them. Obviously, the starting pitching is a little bit of a question right now with the Padres, and they've had this weird down year with power hitting. But when you boast a bullpen like that and the ability to shorten games and these tight matchups, I think they're one of the most dangerous teams in the National League. And also to just zoom out for a second, this is an unprecedented amount of success for a San Diego baseball team. I mean, someone tweeted this out, and I regret not pulling the name, but from 1969 to 2004, they made the playoffs 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 6 years, they've made it 4 times. This is a matter of consistency that we haven't seen for this team, basically in the entire existence of this franchise. And I just hope whatever things are going on in the background with ownership and stuff like that can be sorted out so we can continue to see this team in October routinely because they boast one of the most talented rosters and one of the most entertaining rosters in baseball.
Yeah, I think that's a nice point. I was texting with my buddy Daniel Jeremiah, who is our college football guru, really on the NFL side of things, and he is an enormous Padres fan. I said, "Congratulations again." He's like, "Man, I have sat through a lot of bad Padres baseball to enjoy this run." I am a little concerned with them. You kind of mentioned the starting pitching. It's bad. They're
Yeah.
in a bad spot. It's Nick Pivetta who's gonna go in game 1, and then a lot of question marks, right? Darvish has had some decent starts since he's been back, but not great, and he certainly hasn't been uber healthy. Dylan Cease has been healthy, but he's going into his walk year, and you're like, "What are we getting?" We've always known that the guy's been a little wild and that he can strike out guys, but you don't know if he's gonna throw into the 7th and give up 2 hits or end up going 2 2/3, and you're gonna have to go, once again to the bullpen quickly. Michael King is back, but he hasn't been great since he returned from injury. So there's a ton of questions. And then also with the offense, a severe lack of pop. Only 2 teams that aren't going to be playing in the postseason, the Pirates and the Marlins, have fewer homers than this club. You need to be able to have a threat. Now, I will say that they do have guys that have done it before around the league, or even in some cases in a Padres uniform. Nobody is great in the National League, although there's some teams that are supposed to be. So do they have a shot? They do. It's going to be a lot of wear and tear on that bullpen, though, man.
I'll say 2 things about the Padres here. The first is, one, the stat that we hear every year during the playoffs is the team that hits the most home runs in a game wins the game. Their path currently, outside of the Cubs, because that is a power hitting team that's had a really bad second half offensively.
Mm-hmm.
If they do match up with the Brewers, I believe that's 2 bottom 5 teams in home run power. So at the very least, that matches up well for them. The second thing, in terms of starting pitching, keep an eye out for any updates on Joe Musgrove, who has continued to
Mm-hmm.
say he wants to come back. He intends to pitch this year. He's definitely still hoping. He just seems like the kind of guy that if he's going to set his mind and be determined to do something, he'll go out there and do it. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we see him pitch again this year if they're able to get into that division series.
So he would be the pitching version of Kyle Schwarber, is what you're
Kinda,
saying,
yeah. That would be
2016.
the story they tell.
Yeah, that would be amazing, particularly for a guy who's pitching now for his hometown team. I'm not going to count him out, though, because of this bullpen, right? Estrada, Morejon, Suarez, Peralta. Obviously, there's no Jason Adam because of the injury. And then Mason Miller, who only came over and had a .86 ERA and is striking out almost 17 batters per 9. He has been as advertised and then some. Padres fans, where you sitting this year kind of headspace-wise as opposed to last season? When you went into the playoffs, I think uber confident and you weren't scared of anybody and you disposed of the Braves early on, and then you had a 2-1 series lead in a 5-game set against the Dodgers, and they were throwing a bullpen game, and you were probably feeling pretty good. There is one other thing to keep an eye on. Fernando Tatis was not even at the stadium last night. He's dealing with an illness. They don't know exactly what it is. Influenza, could be COVID. Just something to keep your eye on. Manny Machado did FaceTime him in the celebration last night, which was kind of fun.
For my homies, baby. For my homies.
I'll say this. Manny Machado always is like an A++ celebrator, isn't he?
I feel like you kind of need that from like the clubhouse leader too.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's a time and place, but like that is the time and place. Go
Yep.
nuts.
It's pretty good. So once again, Padres fans, let us know where you are these days. Put them in the comments below. Hey, today's episode, Baseball Today, it is sponsored by Square. Sports are something that help bring neighborhoods together, whether it's a sports bar dedicated to a specific fan base or a game day ritual involving the best wings in town. Neighborhood businesses help grow communities. I know I've got one right down the street. Saturday, that's my only day off during the fall, obviously, because of the football and baseball that's going on. I go out there, I hang out, watch, have them put baseball up there in the corner because most people want to watch college football, but it's always fun. And you know that neighborhood businesses help make a community feel unique and welcoming. They're the spots that people love, almost like a second home. When local shops are successful, the whole area benefits as well. Shopping nearby keeps money circulating locally, helps small business owners grow. That community support matters, and even one little visit can have a real impact. Well, Square partners with more than 4 million neighborhood businesses worldwide, celebrating their role in keeping communities vibrant. So you can go to square.com/today to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. We'll see you in the neighborhood. Well, tonight, my old neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio, is kind of the epicenter of baseball, if you don't mind. It's the battle for first in the AL Central. The Tigers are coming to town for a 3-game set. Detroit's once what was seemingly insurmountable 15.5-game lead in early July is down to just 1.
I don't see our guys, quitting. I don't see our guys down. I don't see our guys pouting. I don't see our guys conceding, and we shouldn't. I'm going to remind everybody that we're a first-place team. And right now, it's hard for everybody to look at us that way because of the way the last week is. But the last week went the way it did, and we're going to wake up tomorrow in first place.
That's your favorite, isn't it?
I mean, though, up until he said that, I was on board with it. And that's just the last thing you want to hear when you're a team that's scuffling.
But it's true.
It's true. It doesn't mean it's a thing you should say or hang your hat on because the race is not over yet.
Okay. It'll be Skubal and Williams tonight. That is a spicy pitching matchup. Does it feel like the winner of game 1 will take down the division?
It's hard to say. I will say this. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say this at all. This is the must-win game of the series for the Tigers. If you drop the Skubal game, it's really hard to see them coming out of this series victorious. It's their biggest, wild card, calling card that they have against other teams. The fact that they have the Cy Young winner on their squad. If you can't back him up when he's undoubtedly going to give you a good outing tonight, it's really hard for me to envision the Tigers going out there and finishing the job because the final of their 6 games are all on the road against playoff teams. They go to Cleveland and then they go to Boston right after. I know Boston has been playing great ball, but that's still a team that's in the playoff picture right now. It's tough for the Tigers right now. You really go back to that matchup they had with Cleveland last week at home. They had leads in all those series. They went to 10 innings in the first game. If you could just take one of those games, and that's kind of the game you always play when you're in the midst of one of these really bad stretches. You kind of played the revisionist history game, but it is in front of them. And they have a guy at the helm that has been there before, has been on the brink of disaster before in late stages of a season in AJ Hinch. If you're a Tigers fan, hold your breath.
So it was interesting. They had the day off, as did much of Major League Baseball on Monday, and they made sure that Skubal pitched game 1, right? He pitched last Thursday in the series closer against Cleveland. He got a no decision. Guardians ended up getting the win. Because of the days off, the day off, I should say, they're able to keep him on regular rest and make sure that he can put a stamp on this series, and that if he has to, and it's a must-win game on Sunday at Fenway Park, that he could pitch the finale if it means getting into the playoffs or not getting into the playoffs. And if not, they'll save him for whenever the first game that they play in the playoffs. So that it was smart, and the schedule worked out to their benefit. I'm not going to say that it's whomever wins tonight wins the series, but I would equate this to game 3 of a 5-game set that is 1-1 or game 5 of a 7-game set that is 2-2, that it can really swing it, and it can make it really hard on the other team. If Skubal and the Tigers end up winning it, it's a 2-game lead with 5 to go, and Cleveland has to win those next 2 games. If Cleveland wins it, the one thing it gives them is not only the continuation of momentum and continuing to push the Tigers down the hill the wrong way, it gives them the season series. So even though they would be tied, Cleveland would actually have a 1-game lead. And this weekend they play Texas, who's kind of been stepping all over themselves here down the stretch.
I mean, there's no more game 163, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this still holds true if we're doing the wild card series, which is a 3-game series. I believe the team that has won game 1 of that series has always gone on to win the series as a whole.
I believe you're right.
obviously we're going to play all 3 games here. It's the regular season, but I think it's, as it's been for this entire month, it's more pressure on Detroit than it is for Cleveland. I think Cleveland can go into this game and say, okay, if we get shut down by Skubal, that happened last week too. He had a great performance against us there. It doesn't mean that we're down and out. It's hard to say, man. I mean, it's insane that we're in this position.
Insane.
I still can't believe. I mean, we're at the point where the Tigers are not only in danger of losing the division, but potentially missing out on the playoffs entirely. Like, that's the whole other layer to this. The fact that there are 7 teams in the American League that all have a 60% chance of making the playoffs, according to Fangraphs, and one of them is not going to do it.
It's incredible. You're right. I mean, we were begging for somebody to make a run like 3 weeks ago because we were looking at this saying, what the hell are we going to talk about the last week? And thankfully, the baseball gods, although great for me and bad for you, which we'll get to in a bit, we are in this spot. Very quickly, how's it play out in the American League Central, in your opinion? I want to hear.
I think that Cleveland has not come this far to not finish the job. I really do think that they're going to go out there and win that series. I do still think the Tigers find a way to get into the playoffs, though. I don't have them missing it entirely. It might come at the expense of the Boston Red Sox. Like, that series may become more impactful than the one we're about to watch.
I was chatting last night with a friend of mine in the organization, in the Cleveland organization. We both said at the beginning of the year, we're looking at about 80 wins. And I hadn't checked in with him in a while, and I said, how the hell did we get here? He goes, I got to be honest with you, I'm still not necessarily believing it. Like, I'm fired up.
You can tell in your voice. Yeah, you're not fired up.
Oh, no, I am. It's also very early out here on the West Coast, and I took melatonin last night. So I'm kind of easing my way into the day.
Sure.
I told this to Plouffe yesterday that Cleveland sports fans are 90% scar tissue. So we're always peering around the next corner to see which bus is about to hit us. You can probably relate to that as a Mets fan. It's even worse for Cleveland, which hasn't won shit since 1948. And I need to be able to enjoy this. Am I scared about tonight? Yeah, Skubal has been freaking dominant in 3 starts this year. Let's see here. He's killed us. 46 strikeouts, 6 walks. Cleveland hitters collectively have a 562 OPS against him. The one thing I can twist is that Gavin Williams has grown up to be that dude. In 2 starts this year against the Tigers, he has yet to allow a run in 11 innings, 17 strikeouts. The problem is he leads Major League Baseball in walks. And sometimes when he gets a little amped up, the zone really moves on him. So if Williams can get through that first inning, take a deep breath, and put the pressure on the Tigers to say, shit, here we go again, then I like Cleveland's chances.
22 innings and 1 earned run, Tarek Skubal against the Guardians this year. A 0.63 whip. I mean, that's what they need tonight. And if they don't get it, you can chalk it up, I think.
It'll be interesting. Can't wait. Let us know what you're watching in that series, how you're feeling, Tigers, Guardians fans, and just baseball fans in general.
So much good baseball tonight. So much good baseball.
Oh, yeah. We are really, really lucky. I love every bit of it. All right, I got to get my ad back up because I just blew it away on the screen. That's my fault, because I want to talk to you about this. That our episode is brought to you by Built. By now, you probably heard of Built, where you can earn points on your monthly rent payment. But did you know they make it possible for you to get more outside of your home as well? By paying rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride. It doesn't matter. It is all right there. But it doesn't stop there. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants. You can earn additional points. You can get VIP treatment at certain fitness studios and enjoy exclusive experiences just for Built members each and every month. Built is turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn reward and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood, whenever or wherever you call home, by going to joinbuilt.com/today. That is joinbilt.com/today. Make sure to use our URL so that they know we sent you, and enjoy. All right. You ready?
Let's do it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid.
National League. Mets and Reds tied for the wild card berth. Arizona, shockingly, just a game back. Cincinnati in pole position because they own the tiebreaker against both those teams. Here's the schedule. New York will visit the Cubs. Cincinnati will play host to Pittsburgh. Arizona takes on the Dodgers out in the desert. But let's start by hearing from the Reds skipper. They were 6 back just 2 weeks ago. Now they're in the driver's seat.
Means that Tuesday will be really fun. We've earned the right to enjoy the competition, and I think that's the best way to look at it.
We put ourselves in this position, so we got to find a way to get out of it, and that comes down to winning. We just got to win ball games.
And Francisco Lindor, that might not even be good enough because they could go 6-0 the rest of the way, and if the Reds do the same, then they're going to be the team that's on the outs. First of all, how nervous are you?
I'm more apathetic than nervous. Like I've kind of, as a Mets fan, accepted the fate a little bit.
Don't do that, Jolly.
I'm gonna watch the games. I'm going to one of the games in Wrigley, mind you. I'm gonna be there while it happens. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna root. But I think if you're a Mets fan and you've been one for a long time, you know how this story goes.
You didn't just tell me before this show that you were going to a game. How did you describe it? I'm going to
go watch the funeral live in person.
What, dude? Come on, man.
Rosie, listen. Okay, first of all, Tigers fans and Mets fans kind of in a similar boat of dread and fearing the worst possible case. I think for the Mets perspective, it's a frustrating month because they've lost to losing teams, they've beaten winning teams, they've had 3 separate 8-game losing streaks this year.
Ouch.
It's just not things that playoff teams do. And for the Reds, I'm glad that you showed the Francona clip first because that's where their story starts, really. I mean, this is a talented Reds roster, especially in the pitching side of things, but I don't know how close to being in a playoff position they are without that guy at the helm. So for people that think managers don't matter, that's case in point, an example I would point to. But for the Mets, they got to go out on the road and face the Cubs, who are already in playoff position, and then the Marlins, who we have a lot of bad late season tied to. It's just it's hard to have confidence at this point. You know the talent is there. You hear it in every post-game quote from the players after every loss. Now, can they go out there and win the big game?
I have to ask you something. I was sifting through social media yesterday and came across your post, 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yes.
That says games the Mets lost this year. And it was a montage of moments where they had bases loaded, like in extra innings, and they hit into a double play with 1 out. And it was like, it got worse. There were like foul balls that were this far from hitting the foul pole for a home run instead. Did you put that thing together?
I took an hour and I put it together because I think it's cathartic for me as a Mets fan.
What the fuck is cathartic about that?
To when you feel cheated as a baseball fan, when you feel like the baseball gods are doing you wrong, it is cathartic to go back through all those games and say, yeah, you know what? We were done wrong in these moments. You know, why didn't we win these games? Or it's nobody out, 2nd and 3rd, 10th inning. All you need is to put the ball in play. And the players who have 20 home runs and 80 RBIs and a 120 OP, all these good numbers, they flail at pitches that are way outside of the zone. And it's been that kind of year for the Mets where you look at them on paper and you look at the numbers and you say, this is a really talented roster. And it makes sense. They spent $1 billion on this roster. And then you look at them in these games and you realize that they don't have the intensity that some of these other teams are playing with. They don't have the urgency that some of these other teams are playing with. The only reason the Reds are in this position is because they went to town against the Cubs. They took 4 of 4, and they needed all 4 of those games realistically if they were going to compete for this wild card spot. And it just comes down to this dumb old sports adage of they look like they want it more right now.
You are as talented a content creator as we have at John Boy Media, but how the hell did you find? There's no way I can remember everything that went wrong with the Guardians season. Have you been journaling the entire time?
I watch a lot of Mets baseball.
Wait a second. Seriously, you can't remember something that happened May 20. Come on, a foul ball?
Every moment in that clip compilation, I went, oh, yeah.
Jolly, you're either really, really great at your job or a little sick in the head, or maybe both.
Welcome to Mets fandom, Chris Rose.
Wow. Okay, now I want to get to the question that we actually have. The biggest key for each of these teams, we're going to focus, with all due respect to Dalton's Diamondbacks and Jake's Diamondbacks, I guess, we're going to focus on the team that share the same record. Biggest key for the Mets in Chicago and the Reds at home against the Pirates. Let's start with the Reds. We'll each go.
Reds, it's always going to be pitching. I mean, they have 2 hitters in their lineup that are above league average this year, and they won a pair of 1-0 games against the Cubs, and that was off the back of pitching. The biggest thing I'm going to look at for them is kind of the middle relief of their bullpen. Santillan at the back end has been very good for them. They have 3 to 4 very, very capable starters, which, by the way, if you're an NL team staring down the barrel of facing the Reds in the wildcard series, you're not going to be feeling good about that because they have 3 pitchers that could literally shut you down for 27 innings. I don't even want to say it's the offense because the way they've been winning games is scratching out, 2 or 3 runs and just hoping the pitching holds it together. I'm really looking at those 7th and 8th innings before they get to the end. Can they get those 6 outs? Because that's where a lot of games have flipped for them this year.
For me, the Reds, this feels like the first time where they've held a playoff spot because they actually are the team that controls their own destiny at this point. You are taking on the woeful Pirates. Now, tomorrow's going to be a gem, right? It's Skeens against Hunter Green, so sign me up to watch
We're
that
eating
one.
good this week, Chris Rose. We're eating very good.
Yes, we are. But you're taking on the Pirates. You've won 6 of 10 meetings this year, and you have dominated on the mound, a 2.7 ERA. But the guy who's getting the ball first tonight is Brady Singer, who has not pitched well against the Pirates. 3 starts, an ERA of almost 6. He has allowed a combined 24 hits and walks. He has walked 11 buccos. We're talking about the worst hitting team out there, and you're giving them free passes. So now the pressure shifts to Cincinnati. Like, you are the team that's in charge of your playoff run. Here, Brady Singer, have the baseball. Don't go fuck it up. And if he is all over the place, it could put a real damper. Come on, man. They minimum, they need to win 2 of these games. But if they win only 1 out of 3 against the Pirates, and with Skeens going tomorrow, you never know, right? You have a guy that's just as hot right now in Hunter Green, and probably hotter even than Skeens, but you never know. So if Singer sets a shitty tone tonight, man, that place is going to be groaning.
We'll see. I mean, they're playing. They have so much momentum behind them.
Yeah,
I did not know those splits prior, but I did see Brady Singer shut down my Mets in a pivotal August matchup. I don't know. I never am going to doubt Red starting pitching. It's the one part of their roster that you really feel like you can count on day in and day out.
Okay. Quickly with your Mets.
Hit the baseball. I mean, they're going to face the best that the Cubs have to offer. They have Cade Horton, they have Shota Imanaga, they have Matthew Boyd. The Mets offense has been woeful against left-handed starting pitching this year. It doesn't get any easier when they go down to Miami. They're going to face the 3 best pitchers they have there. When you look up and down the roster, like I said before, you look at all the offensive numbers and you say, why isn't this team better? Because they have 9 to 10 guys that are above league average minimum. Hit the baseball, pick up your starting pitching, pick up these young 22-year-olds that are making these massive starts late in the season, because that's all you really have at this point. And just hope that you can outscore the opposing team. Set
the tone tonight. You're going against the guy who's really been the best starting pitcher in all of baseball over the last month plus.
That's the luck.
Probably 2. Cade Horton, a 1.52 ERA in July. That was the worst. 1.2 in August. 1-1 in 3 starts so far in September. He has allowed 0 or 1 run in 10 of his last 11 starts.
Very good.
Get on the board early. Let's go. Even if you have to manufacture, I'm not a big fan of playing small ball, but do whatever you can to scratch and claw, because come on, Jolly. I'm rooting for you, brother.
The thing you can hang your hat on is that Horton's usually out latest 6 innings.
Yeah.
You can get to that Cubs bullpen, which is a vulnerable spot of their roster, but the Mets have to score early and often.
Yeah, and the Cubs are pretty much going to be locked into that 4 spot. I mean, they do have to keep an eye on the Padres, who I believe win the head-to-head tiebreaker, but we'll see. Padres are going to be playing hungover today anyway.
Yeah.
Several divisions still up for grabs outside of the AL Central. Tightest is in the American League East, where Toronto's up 2 on New York. Yankees are kind of in an interesting spot here because the Jays host Boston. If Boston wins, it could open the door for a divisional crown. If Toronto wins, it would put a serious damper on the Sox playoff hopes. Which way do you think New York fans are rooting?
I think New York fans are weirdly rooting for Boston here because while it is a 2-game lead, the Toronto Blue Jays also have the tiebreaker. So the
Mhm.
Yankees fully need to pass them in this inning. So really it's a 2.5 to 3-game lead. Obviously the math gets wonky there. But the Yankees, it's in front of them. They got the White Sox at home for 3, and then the Orioles, who they just beat on the road for 3. They're fully capable of beating up on bad teams. They've done it all season long. Realistically, if they can go 4-2 or 5-1 in this stretch, it adds a lot of pressure to the Blue Jays. And I think the biggest thing for the Yanks, which is why if I'm a Yankees fan, I'm rooting for the Red Sox in this series, is because the Yankees have been a pretty good home team this year, and they would be hosting the wild card series in that case, or potentially getting the bye. So I think that's the thing they're rooting for the most. They don't want Boston to retake them in the AL wild card standings
Right.
because on the road, there's some bad memories attached there, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, if the Yankees were only up a game on the Red Sox, I would. Oh, you just lost the lights in there. We got to pay some bills. There we go. Motion detectors. So if it were only a game difference between the Yankees and Red Sox, I would understand rooting against the Sox. But here, you just might be a vengeful MFer if you're rooting against the Red Sox right now, and it just wouldn't be smart because you still have not only a division championship but a bye in play. That is
Yeah.
a big deal. That is a big deal. And as Bryce Harper told us over the weekend, anybody that doesn't think the bye is important, like, no, you want to keep playing, you're ridiculous and you don't understand what baseball players are going through. So I would say root right now for your little Red Sox friends up there at Fenway Park, and maybe you'll see them somewhere down the road. I do hope, not if it's at the expense of my Guardians making it, but I hope for baseball fans we get a 4-5 matchup of New York and Boston because those are fun. Those can be really, really fun. Can't wait for that. I know that our buddy Dan Rourke is interested in all those series.
He's oozing with confidence these days.
Yes, he is. Thanks to Mountain Dew for sponsoring today's episode. With bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew, it's perfect for any occasion. Beach days, boat days, out on the golf course days, going to the ballpark days, just about anything in between. You still got nice weather across the country before we hit that crisp fall air. You know, we were just for our Blitzball Battle 7 tournament. The mayor of Dewsville, as I like to call Dalton Feely, was out there making sure that we all were liquidated, hydrated, all sorts of good stuff. So the next time you're chilling on the beach or you're out on the water, or you're hanging with friends or you're doing a picnic or you're at the ballpark or you're having a Blitzball Battle 7 tournament, whatever, if you're just hanging out with friends, the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew, it's the perfect pairing. So if that's what you're looking for, go grab yourself a Mountain Dew. All right, last thing that we want to keep our eye on is the AL MVP. If you look at most of the odds, it feels like Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, about even, if not totally even. We just had Cleveland catcher Austin Hedges. He's on this week's edition of Dugout Discussions. And I asked him about explaining to people how amazing Raleigh's season is because they do the same job. And here's where he took the discussion.
To me, that's the MVP of baseball this year.
Wow. He's the MVP?
He's the most valuable player in the American League. What he has done for Seattle and that group, their team is obviously much better now. They've made some moves. But for 4 months of the season, it was Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh giving up no runs behind the plate and hitting all the homers. Without Cal, I don't think they're going to be in a very good position. Obviously, he's hit all those homers. He hits amazing. But you add that to the main guy making the decisions on a daily basis to not give up runs. I think that needs to be looked at deeper in the value of what a decision maker behind the plate, regardless of the physical talent, because he's a platinum glove winner behind the plate. We need to look more at the runs they're not giving up because he is catching every single day.
Well, that got a lot of traction, obviously. What do you think?
I first want to ask you, how sick are you of talking about Cal versus Judge?
Pretty sick of it, but when it came down to the last 6 days and we have, the odds are even, it made me wonder if there's anything that one guy could do over the other this week that would change your thought if you had a vote.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it comes down to, well, last time we talked, I said it was Judge full stop. I think the time before that, I said it was Cal full stop. So it's been an exhausting discussion. My heart lies with Cal. My brain lies with Judge. I think the two big deterrents for me, and they don't show up in the stat sheet, so it's hard to quantify them, is one, obviously the catching position, but two, where are the 2025 Seattle Mariners without Cal Raleigh? And where are the 2025 Yankees without Aaron Judge? Because for a while they played without him, and for a while Cal had a slow stretch there late in the season. But the Mariners are going to be your AL West division winners most likely. The Yankees are going to be in the wild card round. Does that matter? It's hard to say. Judge is essentially a DH who can't really throw the ball right now in right field. Cal's behind the plate, calling every game. You can play this game day and night. For me, I still think it's Aaron Judge, but boy, would I be happy if Cal Raleigh got the MVP.
Yeah, listen, this clip got a lot of traction. Partly, it ruffled Yankees fans' feathers, and we all remember what Hedges didn't say last year. He did not say that Emmanuel Clase was better than Mariano Rivera. That was not the context.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that at all, actually.
Yeah, so you can go back and listen to it. I mean, I'm not here to fight that fight. And obviously, Austin catches for a living, so he knows what Cal Raleigh is going through. Hedges is a guy who struggles to hit 200. And so for him to look up at a guy who does the same job as his and has almost 60 homers, he has to sit there in amazement because he knows the mental grind of what it takes to engineer a pitching staff through a game. And then to be able to put up these numbers. And people will say, well, it's barely a top 20 OPS season all time for catchers. I understand that, but it's hard for us because we don't know what goes into the job. We really don't. Right. You don't know how much they're meeting, how much he's going over scouting reports, how mentally exhausted he is, as opposed to a guy who's basically been DHing the last 2 months. And all I'm saying is I'm not trying to take this away from Aaron Judge because I think his season offensively is infinitely better than Cal Raleigh. What I'm saying is I don't know how to measure it. And that's why if I were a voter, I would have to talk to not only every catcher that plays every day, but I would have to talk to other position players to see what their workload is like compared to catchers. Do they recognize the difference? Is there such a substantial difference where they understand it?
And I think the baseball writers with votes are not going to go into that investigative journalism that you said right there.
You'd be surprised.
I wouldn't say the majority, though. I think 20 years ago, if this race happened, it would be Cal. But I think because it's 2025, it can and probably should be Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You know, let's remember that Kirk Gibson won
I'll never forget.
NL MVP in 1988. He had like 25 homers and OPS in the mid 800s or something. Back then, we didn't have access to, or certainly metrics weren't developed and utilized the way that they are today. And I think it's a good thing that they're there. It can certainly make your head spin at times.
Do you remember who he beat that year in the NL?
I think it was Straw.
It was Darryl Strawberry, who would still be the only MVP winner in Mets history.
Right. I think didn't Straw hit 39 homers that year?
Led the league with 39 homers, a 545 slug, and a 911 OPS.
Yeah. And Kirk Gibson's OPS was nowhere near that.
860.
Yeah, and I think he hit 290 or something. A lot of people will say Cal Raleigh, if he wins it, it's going to be the lowest batting average of any non-pitcher who's won MVP. And
isn't that kind of symbolic of
exactly where we are in the times.
Yeah.
All right. I know you got to run and go do your Shea Station with our buddy Jerry Blevins. I always appreciate you filling in. You're the best around. It's insulting to call you a fill-in. You're a part of what we do here at Baseball Today. That's silly.
I basically am Trevor Plouffe at this time. He has his weekly vacations,
With better hair. Don't tell Plouffe that, but better hair. Impressive. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our awesome intern, Sawyer, that is the uber-talented Jolly Olive. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Mountain Dew. Go Guards.